one of the most interesting characters, I think, in One Piece. He's loud, he's violent, and he has absolutely no problem destroying anyone that gets in his way. But have you ever wondered where Oda gets his inspiration for one of the worst generation's most dangerous pirates? Well, Kid's name appears to be a combination of two real historical pirates, Eustace the Monk and Captain William Kidd. And when you start looking into their stories, there's actually some pretty interesting similarities to the man who stood beside Luffy as one of the biggest pirates of the new generation. Let's start with the first half of his name. Eustace the Monk, the violent outlaw, also known as Eustace the Black. Eustace the Monk, originally known as Eustace Busket, was a French outlaw, mercenary and pirate who lived around the late 12th and 13th century. Honestly, this guy sounds like a One Piece character already. According to stories about his life, he studied in Toledo in Spain before returning to France and becoming a Benedictine monk. Yes, Eustass Kid may partly be named after a monk, but he didn't stay in the monastery forever. Accounts really differ. One story says that he left after the murder of his father. Other accounts connect his downfall to the conflict of, and I'm going to butcher this name, Renoun de Diamartin, where he was accused of mishandling his position. Eustace's land was confiscated and he became an outlaw. And what did he do in response? He burnt down 2 mills. Now, I'm not saying Oda looked at this and said, yeah, that's exactly how Kid would handle this disagreement, but come on, like that does sound like him. Someone takes something from Kid in One Piece, he's not filing a complaint, he's destroying the entire place. That destructive, aggressive outlaw energy is one of the strongest parallels between Eustace the Monk and Captain Kid in One Piece. But Eustace's story gets even crazier. He became a pirate and mercenary operating in the English Channel, and throughout his career, he worked for different sides depending on the conflict and circumstances. At various points, he served England and later fought against the English forces. Basically, this man was shifting alliances, enemies everywhere, and had a reputation for being an absolute menace. And that feels very One Piece, because Kid isn't loyal to the world government, the Marines, or any larger power. He's his own force. He goes wherever his ambitions take him and fights whoever's standing in his way. Just like Eustace the Monk, Kid is not someone who comfortably fits into the existing world order. He's an outlaw, a threat, and someone powerful people would rather see disappear. The monk eventually met his end after he was captured after the Battle of Sandwich in 1217, where he was beheaded. It's a pretty brutal end for a pretty brutal pirate, but the similarities don't stop there, because the second half of Kid's name comes from another legendary pirate, and his story might actually have some surprising connections to the One Piece world. Captain William Kidd, the pirate the government turned against. Look, my opinion of Captain William Kidd, it's a very sad story filled with corruption, betrayal, and just deep government corruption, I think. William Kidd was a Scottish privateer who eventually became one of the most famous pirates in history. Although details of his early life are very uncertain, Kidd had built a successful career at sea and had previously worked in support of English interests. And here's where his story becomes really interesting. In 1695, Kidd received a commission connected to the English crown and very powerful political figures. His mission was to hunt pirates and enemy French ships. So William Kidd wasn't originally sent out to become a pirate, he was sent out to hunt them. He sailed aboard the Adventure Galley, but things did not go according to plan. He struggled to find suitable targets, members of his crew died from disease, and as time went on, the crew became increasingly frustrated. Eventually, in 1698, Kidd captured his biggest prize, the Guida Merchant, a heavily loaded ship carrying valuable goods, including silks and other riches. And that's kind of where everything started to fall apart. The political situation around Kidd changed, powerful interests turned against him, The man who originally had been commissioned to hunt pirates was now being denounced as one himself. Kid eventually returned to American colonies hoping to defend himself. Instead, he was arrested and sent to England. He was tried for murder and piracy and executed in 1701. Now, I think this is where the One Piece comparison gets really interesting. Because what's one of the biggest themes of One Piece? Who gets to decide who a criminal is? The world government, the Marines, the people in power. In One Piece, pirates aren't labelled criminals, but Oda constantly shows that the people running the world aren't automatically the good guys. We've seen pirates protect innocent people, we've seen Marines do terrible things. We've seen governments erase history, manipulate information, and decide who's the heroes and who are the villains. And Captain Kid's story fits surprisingly well into that theme. There's a man who had powerful government connections and was given official permission to attack certain ships, but when political situation changed, some of those powerful people distanced themselves from him. Suddenly, Captain William Kidd was a villain, and that's something you could easily imagine happening in the One Piece world. Think about the characters like Nico Robin, who was labelled a criminal from childhood. Even Kidd himself has a massive bounty and is considered one of the most dangerous pirates in the world. And while Kidd is definitely not innocent, let's be honest, the guy has done some horrible things. The world of One Piece constantly asks us whether the people with authority to label someone a criminal are actually morally superior. And that's why I think William Kidd's story is an interesting comparison. Not because Captain Kidd of One Piece has the exact same life story, but because both names connect pirates who became larger-than-life figures surrounded by stories, reputation, and legend. And reputation is everything in One Piece. So when we put this all together, the monk gives us Eustace, William Kidd gives us Kidd, and together we have Captain Kidd in One Piece. The name itself is a clear connection of two famous pirates from history, and their stories are really interesting. Eustace the Monk is an outlaw known for violence, conflict, and changing sides. That chaotic, destructive reputation feels very similar to Captain Kidd of One Piece. Meanwhile, Captain William Kidd is a legendary privateer whose story is surrounded by accusations, political controversy, and eventually pirate mythology. And in the world of One Piece, mythology and reputation are everything. There's also another fun connection. After his death, William Kidd became heavily romanticized in popular culture. Stories about his buried treasure helped him into one of the most legendary pirates in history. And One Piece? Well, the entire story starts with a pirate leaving behind the greatest treasure in the world. I'm not saying Oda based One Piece treasure around Captain Kidd. It's another interesting example of how real pirate legends and treasure myths fit perfectly into the world Oda created. So was Captain Kidd of One Piece an adaptation of these pirates? Probably not. And that's the most important part. Oda often takes names, legends, and ideas from real pirates in history and transforms them into something completely different. Kidd isn't really the monk with magnetic powers. He isn't Captain William Kidd with red hair. Instead, it seems like Oda took inspiration from real pirate history and created something new. The name connects him directly to the monk and Captain William Kidd. The monk gives us that violent energy. William Kidd gives us another legendary pirate whose name and story became larger than life. And Oda added a magnetic arm, Conqueror's Haki, a rivalry with Luffy, and one of the most aggressive personalities in the entire stories. And the result? Captain Kidd. One of the most dangerous members of the worst generation. But honestly, after looking into the story of William Kidd, I think there's way more to talk about. His political connections, his commission to hunt pirates, the ship that he took, the accusations against him, the trial, which in my opinion was one of the most corrupt and blatantly one-sided trials in recorded history, and the question of whether he really was a pirate or whether he became a convenient villain when the people in power needed someone to blame. Look, I would love to do a full video diving into the real story of Captain William Kidd, It's really interesting. It has so much corruption, and he really got a hard time of things, and I really do believe that. There is even a page online, pardonwilliamkid.com, to go back on his charges because they were so blatantly corrupt and wrong. Let me know if you'd like that video in the comments. I would love to do it. And which One Piece character should I investigate next to find out if real pirates inspired them? Again, thank you so much for watching. If this, if you learned something here or this interests you at all, please leave a like, comment below. If you did enjoy this, please consider subscribing. Really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on the video. If you do enjoy the video, please like and subscribe.